Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
This is a Newsline. We're broadcasting this morning the first program on a brand spanking new channel from the Capital Maharaja Group called TV1. Welcome, viewers. This is the very first show, and this is Newsline. This morning we're joined, as usual, by Bandula Jayasekara. Morning, Bandula.
Morning for us.
And by two gentlemen from the capital markets. We are delighted to have Ravi Abhisurya, the chairman of the Stockbrokers Association of Sri Lanka. Good morning, and thanks for being here. And we are also more than delighted to welcome the inimitable Malik Kader, former Director General of the SEC, Attorney at Law, and what else was he? The Senior Advisor at the Ministry of Finance. Did you do any work there when you went there?
Good morning, Faraz, and
Very
good morning,
Bandel. Did you do any work there?
Well, loads of work.
When you were transferred from the SEC?
Right, that's right. That was in 2011.
Right. Did you feel bad about that?
Well, now I feel good about it.
But at the time you didn't. Ravi, I want to ask you this. Why is the stock market crashing?
Yeah, there are several reasons. Globally, there is a stock market rout that's happening, particularly because of China, because of the slowdown of the economy in China, as well as the commodity crisis. You know, as we know, the oil prices have been declining continuously, and we recently saw it breaking the $30 level as well. So now with Iran also coming up to pump oil, we will see further decline in the oil prices. And on top of that, there is the Fed increase of the US dollar interest rates and also dollar credit. So all these have a huge impact on global markets and particularly on emerging markets. And what we see is during the last 18 months, there has been about $1 trillion leaving emerging markets and moving to other markets, particularly developed or other instruments. So that impact is what is mainly affecting Sri Lanka. If you really look at MSCI emerging markets have come down by about 18% during the last 3 months alone, and frontier markets about 11%. Sri Lanka only 10%. So it's very much in line with what's happening in
so
global
it's reflective
markets.
of global market.
It's all to do with global markets.
So in that case, Ravi, forgive me for being so puzzled. Why is it that during the the Rajapaksa years, we had, I think it was 3 changes at the SEC. The market's performance was being almost linked to one man, or one person, the head of the SEC. So what was all that palaver about?
Well, at that time, I think the markets were not having global impacts. What was impacting was what's going on in Sri Lanka, particularly rapid changes of SEC chairmen and various accusations of wrongdoings in the market.
Pumping and dumping.
Pumping and dumping. There was a term used as mafia, as all the players.
There was very much a stock market mafia then.
Well, there was that accusation. But what was happening is, I would say, wrongdoings that were carried out by various parties or was accused as being done, and as a result there was a lot of confidence and trust on the market eroded. But certain investors were very active, particularly the high net worth investors who were able to manipulate markets or really benefit from them were very active. And nowadays those investors are not active.
Because they cannot manipulate, or
is that because
they can make big money?
Big money.
Is that because the political patronage is missing?
Absolutely.
So in that respect, in that respect only, we seem to have got some sort of stability in the sense that there is no political patronage.
There is no political patronage, I would say, in the capital market today.
And how much of this is with this, the market is now 6,300 points. It used to be 7,400, so about, say, 10% down. This is a 400 billion rupee value erosion. How much of this is notional? How much of this is really impacting? How does it impact when you have such a value erosion?
Well, that value erosion is across the board to all investors, not a particular category, and it's there everywhere. So yes, people have to come to capital markets, particularly stock markets, understanding capital markets have bull markets as well as bear markets, and this is currently a bear market, and it may continue for some time too, because there is no catalyst to turn around very quickly. We don't see China or sudden turnaround of the economic growth improving, or oil prices suddenly taking off to higher price levels. So overall, we will see this trend continuing, and if you come to capital markets, you have to be ready to bear. Bear markets are also part of the capital markets, but once it turns, there will be a significant opportunity to gain. That's where I believe strongly institutional investors as well as high net worth investors should come in when the stocks, particularly the fundamentally strong stocks, are at a deep discount.
But do our investors in Sri Lanka have the means to ride that curve, to wait until it turns around?
Well, one problem we have is people come to the market for mostly speculation or punting.
For short term?
Short term, particularly the retail investors who are not properly, have not had the financial literacy as well as understanding of what stock markets are. They think it is a quick way to make money, which is not. It's a long-term capital you are growing your capital over long term, and that's where you have the gain. You have to be able to ride this type of bear markets and pick fundamentally strong stocks, because they will definitely turn around and give you much higher returns. If the market from today's levels goes up to about 7,000 level, you have a straight away 10% return. So likewise, you will see some of the good fundamentally strong stocks, you will have 20% return, because they are very, very good and now available at the discount.
Malik, when you were the Director General, you all made an attempt to go to the masses, go to the village. I think you all started a campaign. So what happened to that? Are they still continuing?
I think yes. I mean, those there are the results of that. I mean, was shown in the market. There were the retail investors basically who came in from all over the country. The issue which we are facing right now is there's a lot of value erosion even now. Now the investors who invested, right? I mean, unsophisticated investor, maybe outside Colombo, is basically taking a beating. Whether they are in a position to take such beating is the question we need to basically pause and start thinking. A very, very important point which was brought forward by Faraz is that the market has dipped almost close to about 10% and a value erosion of 400 billion. Now 400 billion is, Faraz, staggering. We're a small country. 400 billion is 10% of the market cap, and if you ask whether it is notional, well, part of it can be notional, but there is certainly an impact. We need to wait and see what this impact is all about, because
will it impinge on the ability of companies to borrow and so on?
I don't think so. That will not have an impact on borrowings. It's the personal wealth of the people that has got eroded. That means
but aren't there limits on
but Ravi, there will also come at some stage margin calls.
Already have margin calls already
have come in. Right?
Oh, is it?
So that is value.
That is value.
Yeah. So we don't know the impact of these margin calls. I mean, there's the financial sector, the banks, the margin traders. We don't know how.
We want to keep this program a bit simple. Margin calls. Very quickly, tell our viewers what that means.
What that means is investors borrow and invest. And when you borrow and invest, at a certain point, the margin providers will call on it. There's a margin call to put cash.
So what you mean is, if a share is worth 200 rupees, you can borrow 50
100 rupees.
100 rupees. And so when that stock drops to about the 100 rupee mark, there'll be a call.
That's
That'd be
right.
a
If it drops below 100 rupees, the margin provider lose money.
Yeah.
So he will start making a margin call at 120 rupees,
Yeah.
and if you don't pay, he will force sell
He will force sell.
before he lose money.
Which will then affect the market.
Which has happened.
Which
now,
is already happening.
It's happening now.
That's why the market is coming down in
I
certain
see.
counters.
So people who are highly leveraged are finding it
Extremely difficult.
Yes.
They'll find it extremely difficult.
Isn't that dangerous to the banking system?
Well, banking and margin providers will not wait.
Right.
They will exercise their margin calls and force sell.
Yeah.
So the
And whatever
losers will
price.
be the investors,
Right.
rarely the margin providers and the banks.
Right.
Yeah, they have covered themselves. But then there again, if a stock falls about, 50% or maybe
Yeah.
400 rupees.
Very
stock,
unlikely that level.
That
That is
level.
why they limit
before
their
that,
exposure to
yes.
50%, and before it comes there,
They
they
sell.
will force sell
They'll force
or take action to ask the investor to put in cash.
But in the past, we've had some stocks that zoomed from, I don't know, about 100 rupees or thereabouts to 1,000, whatever, 10. What were those? Was that really pumping and dumping, or was that just trading?
I would say that they were manipulated stocks.
Yes.
Right.
They were not in the normal
Because
realm of
fundamentally you
capital markets.
can't expect that kind of 1,000% increases. Companies fundamentally has to make money. There is growth, sales growth, revenue and profit growth.
Yeah.
And something really good has to happen for you to see an increase in the stock price, and that won't happen in that.
And Malik, you were a victim of those Mafuso? Or?
Of course, they're certainly a victim.
So now they got rid of you.
Yeah.
They got, Indrani left on her own accord, and Tilak was also virtually constructively removed, right, or constructive dismissal even. And they then brought in Nalaka Godaheva. Nothing happened to the market then, and Mr. Godaheva has just been released on bail, and the market's going down. What does that say about our capital market?
Well, I don't think there's anything to do with the two.
Right.
But
That's how they
said.
made it out. That's how they made it out to be.
No, I think
No.
as Ravi said, it's an impact of the global markets. But one of the things which is important for us to look at this moment is what can we do? Are we just simply going to look at the screen and to see that the markets are coming down? I think as a country, there are a few things we can do.
And tell us one thing that we can do.
Not that there are quick fixes in this whole thing.
Yeah.
We need to look at the market from a very overall point of view. And when the markets are coming down, I think there has to be certain amount of people who should take responsibility, come into the market and see what has happened. I strongly feel that there is a lack of concentration towards the capital markets right now. You quite rightly mentioned at the beginning of the program that there were the retail investors we're talking about. The retail investors have taken a holiday.
That's
Right?
it.
They're not in the market.
Why?
You need to have certain amount of speculation.
Is it because they've burnt their fingers?
Not because they burned the fingers. During the era when there was market manipulation, pumping and dumping, you see people lost confidence, right? And then there was regulation which came into basically, go and get some people netted into all these things. There's an element of fear also which is coming. So you have got those traders, the retailers out of the market.
I see.
We need that kind. We need a little speculation. Not that it should go out of proportion. We need people to come and take certain positions.
To listen more about what's happening to the market and to see where confidence levels are, join us after this little break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsline, broadcasting live on TV1 from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. We're joined here by Ravi Abhisurya and Malik Khada. Malik, would you agree, Ravi too, would you gentlemen agree when I say that the first chapter in economics is confidence? So, where's the confidence in the market now?
I think you're spot on. I mean, confidence and perception are two things which drive markets. And currently, as you say, we need to have a little bit more confidence or attention on the capital markets. So that confidence, I think, you would have heard yesterday, I think yes, it was yesterday the Prime Minister made a very, very grand comment about the Port City project. And you saw the market going up almost 100 points yesterday. So you need good news to come in. You need good news to come in. So you need that amount of concentration, right, towards the capital market, right? More good news coming in, like we're talking about the megapolis, right, going to be launched in
But Malik, first he gave bad news first before the elections. Then nothing to do with China and the bad news. Don't you think that was one result which things
This
went
is
down?
why Bandar is here.
Yeah, perhaps
remind
yes,
us of these issues.
perhaps yes. So now you can see what good news has done.
He goes
right?
all the way to Switzerland and give the good
yes,
news.
good news, and more good news like this would certainly be beneficial for the market. Beneficial for the market. I think that is what the market is waiting for. Market is waiting. Markets are driven by information.
So they're looking for positivity.
Positive news have to come. So you need to give that confidence. You are right. You need to give that confidence
So the
to the market.
first chapter in this book on economics is confidence.
And getting the people to have more confidence on the profitability and government policy framework, macroeconomic policy
And governance.
So we have seen not so good news because our rupee has depreciated about 9% last year. Interest rates have gone up, I think, about 127 basis points, so it's more than 1.2%.
So how essential was it? I mean, we saw, despite some well-covered differences of opinion at the time between Governor Cabral and Treasury Secretary Dr. Jayasundara, in spite of that and despite that, we had a modicum of stability where the exchange rate was concerned. But since January 2015, where the dollar was about 130, today it's what, about 143?
143, in and around, yes.
So how does one...
Well, again, you can't take it on only from a Sri Lankan context. We have to look at what has happened to other emerging market currencies, India to Malaysia, China. So, again, we should not say Sri Lanka rupee has depreciated and others have not. Others have done even much worse. So this is a global
But Ravi,
impact.
taking from the Faras's favorite subject, I've learned a lot from Faras on this. We are talking investor confidence. The bond issue. I mean, there is so much of attack by the media, the press, and all that. What happens? Don't you lose investor confidence on the central bank bond issue?
Well, to an extent, yes, because people conceive there's something happening in the primary dealer market where
I think
there was a high increase in the rates of the 10-year bond. So there was an impact on the country's borrowing rate, the amount of additional money that has to be paid because of that. So yes, there was a confidence loss, no doubt about that news item, but nothing major on the capital market other than the interest rate impact. Yes, when people see there is propensity for interest rates to go up with 10-year bond going up, then that has a direct impact, where the stock market investors will see, okay, interest rates going up means that's negative news for the stock market.
One of the other things just to mention about what we were discussing previously is the activity in the market. I find that the government funds have taken a back seat. I don't blame them for taking a back seat because previously we saw basically the government funds, EPF, ETF, uses the bank funds, insurance funds basically come into the market and doing various things, pitching into some investments which are not basically where they should have invested. But fine, that doesn't mean that they have to basically go unheard or unnoticed. I think currently I get the impression that their hands are tied.
By who?
By themselves, because what happened is because of the previous damage which was being done, right? Or maybe by someone else. You need to give those fund managers the freedom. right, within parameters and boundaries, because they are an integral part of the capital markets, right? They are huge. Government funds are huge, right? In a situation like this, they need to do proper valuations and come into the market, right, and participate. Right?
No, they are not participating. Earlier, government took a front seat. Now they are not even taking a back seat. The
So they so much in the back seat.
Within parameters, right? Governments, I think in other countries they do it when markets come down. I'm for a while not trying to say that they should come and they suddenly pump the market up. No, they need to come and take good positions in the market, which they are not doing right now. I get the impression they are not doing it. And one other thing for us. If we are to take the capital markets to the next level, our market is a tiny market compared to most of the other markets. You're looking at Sri Lanka as about 3 trillion, under 3 trillion US. You're looking at the closest like Singapore, but talking about 1,000, 2,000, Hong Kong, I mean, in the 10,000s, right? We are tiny. We have to grow big. So to take this to the next level, I must say, we have to take the bull by the horn. The government has to take the bull by the horn.
But right? Now, see,
and then bring some of the big establishments with governance into the market.
But Malik, now see that
it is a very political issue. It's going to be a very political issue.
What do you mean by like big establishments? Like whom? Like what?
See, there are government-owned undertakings like the Bank of Ceylon, Sri Lanka Insurance, People's Bank, Sri Lanka Catering, so many well-run organizations where they can...
No, he can continue. Now, for instance, we are talking about the capital markets. We're talking about the stock market, right? The banking sector represented in the stock market is less than 25 or 30%. 70% is outside the capital markets. That's the 3 big banks, right? Now, if you're talking about reflection of the economy in the capital markets, right? Banking sector is not, because 70% is outside.
But as a layman, my question is, okay, this Prime Minister is considered pro-market, pro-Western, right, like pro-capitalist and all that. But how come, we thought everything will change, where the Rajapaksas was not considered that. But what's happening?
The Prime Minister and his economic team made it clear that they are for a completely free market.
Yes. I think the budget
without interventionist policies and so on. Subsidies, whatever you call it, they want to get rid of all that. But how much of that can our dear Prime Minister achieve when our political makeup is so polarized?
For us, one thing to add to what you just mentioned is you cannot have magic to be done, performed overnight. Well, we have seen things like that being done and performed, and that has ended up in utter disaster. You need time is of essence, and I think we have got the governance up to a certain extent. I will, if you ask me whether we have governance at 100, I don't think governance is at 100. Governance has improved tremendously, leaps and bounds. So governance cannot improve tomorrow. It will take a while. It will take a while for governance to improve. And I think we are on the right track. Right? We need to have the right people at the right places to take this to the next level.
And also the organizations has to be also ready, so they have to be ready over time. And I would say the criticizers, particularly unions who are very much against any kind of privatization, needs to be educated and made to understand this is not privatization, this is wide ownership, public ownership. This is happening in a big way in China, all over the world, and we are the only country who thinks when a state institution is listed, that is privatization. That is all absolutely wrong perception. So we need to educate them to understand.
But perhaps
how People's Leasing, if you look at People's Leasing, is a listed company. It's not privatized, it's listed. Likewise, there is so many examples.
There's a subtle difference.
Subtle difference where majority of the people can own and benefit.
Yes, but when the SEC spends money giving their promotional money to political organizations instead of actually promoting the market and educating the public, this is what will happen.
That money was allocated for educating the market.
Yes, right? It was under promotional budget.
Because the SEC has a mandate to do that.
Of
They're
course
well
they have.
within, this
Of course they
mandate.
Market development,
Is
there
part
definitely
of
has
the
a
mandate,
mandate.
yes.
But the SEC has no mandate to bring in dancing troops.
Yeah, no, that is where the governance has to come in. So you need to have those parameters in place. So for a while, it doesn't mean that just because of those things, right, you should basically shut the door.
Right.
You shouldn't do that.
But we discuss another point about what the government do, and you asked that question. I would say, in addition to listing of state institutions, which will take some time, but they have to be ready, there's another very important function which is very slowly happening, which is basically making sure we have the right instruments, new instruments. Now, one of the things this is completely missing in this market is derivative products, short selling, which helps in a downward spiraling market for people to take positions, as we talked about speculation. So people have to take the opposite position and try to make money. In other countries, when the markets go down, you make hell a lot of money. Now, that's
That's
not
the time
heard
they
of.
go and invest.
Exactly,
Oh, yeah.
that's where you
Trade,
jump
yeah.
in. So that instruments are completely lacking, but we are working towards that by doing delivery versus payment, the central counterparty, all that is coming very slowly.
We are in our last few seconds. Very quickly, does either of you gentlemen know who this Belgian investor is with $1 billion coming from Luxembourg?
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
For us, if you have to,
Why speak about it?
yeah, for us, if you have to know about it, there's something wrong in our banking sector.
Oh, really?
Like people will not have confidence in the
So it's
banking
all right for the Minister of Finance to say, oh, somebody's coming, and then not disclose? Well, we'll have to debate that.
He's identified 3 investors, 3 Belgians.
Yes, there are 3 Belgians, but none of them, well, I'm sure, will invest 20% of their net worth in an emerging market. But that's debatable. On that note, thank you, gentlemen, for being on our program on TV1, the new channel from the Capital Maharaja Group, and we look forward to having you again. Vandula, thank you. And in life, we make the best decisions we can with the information we have on hand. On that note, thank you for having tuned in to TV1, the brand new channel from Capital Maharaja Group. Take care and have a great day. God bless. Thank you.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.